Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do French fries. I want to do it in a little bit of a different way. I'm going to speak outside. I'll speak outside, and then we'll speak inside. We'll speak a little bit more conceptually, and then we'll bring it inside. Before French fries, there's one detail we didn't really talk about. Many details we didn't talk about. We mentioned at the end of this year, we mentioned in the middle of this year, the Chasam Sefer about Mei Cholov, about a chayla. And we mentioned that the Aruch HaShulchan writes that if you're waiting 1 hour in such a matziv, you need to do kinuach and adacha. So the question is, what do we do with that lamaisa? Meaning this Aruch HaShulchan, this Chasam Sefer, what do we deal with lamaisa, with ketanim, with muberes, with chaylim, etc.? This is something we spoke about extensively. Just to run through it quickly and not really add in any chedushim. We'll just start with that. Is that good? And the silence is deafening. Silence is deafening. Okay. Thank you. So the Chasam Sefer, as we all read together in Pesach Shuv Sifkat and Gimel, says a chayla drinks meichal. And the truth is, the binyan that we're about to have is going to be a very similar binyan that we ended off yesterday's year with Suffolk. And it's going to be a similar binyan that we're eventually going to get to when it comes to French fries. Is that once you realize the reka, as they call it, the background of the sugya, once you understand that the sugya is more broad than waiting 6 hours or not, then you realize that in scenarios, there are rooms to be mekel, like different shitais. And there's always just the question is, what level scenario, what level of chayla, and what level of mu'beres, and are there minhagim and this, and that's really like the way to navigate really all these questions, which is similar, just to go back to yesterday's case of Suffolk, we ended off Yesh Makom L'Hakal, Yesh Makom L'Hachmir. So Elam were perturbed. So Lamaisa, what do you do? That's exactly what you do. That's what you do. So you want to know what do you do, Lamaisa? What you do is, if one is in a matziv that they need the cup of coffee at that moment, and they don't want to wait the half hour for whatever its reason. The case that I was talking about, very simply, is you're sitting down to learn, and you want the cup of coffee now. You don't want the cup of coffee in a half hour. So you're right. Our svaras to be machmer and tavar shishlo matirim and v'chulu. But there's plenty of svaras to be mekel. It's 5.5. It's 5 1/4, and you have all the other shitais. So, and it's a suffix. It's not something that you didn't do it. It's maybe you did. So you put it all together. Then okay, have your cup of coffee and sit down and learn a black Gemara. You want to know would a bigger tzaddik say? Learn the black Gemara without a cup of coffee? Of course, the bigger tzaddik had the 1 cup of coffee, and if one could do without it, there's a makom to be machmir. But there's certainly a makom to be mekel, and that would be a type of a need. So it comes to achela. So we have the Chasam Sefer. Now, interesting is the lashonos of the Paiskim, which is what we spoke about a lot together. I'm just going to read you a few of them. Is really where a lot of what's about to happen comes from. Because if I were to have asked many people in this room, what is the story with the muberes, a menekes, a chayla, this, in all the scenarios, you would have boiled it down to case-by-case scenario. You would have said, Lamaisa, you should be waiting your 6 hours like always. B'makayim hatzayrech, in a time of need, then there is a makayim to be mekel. And yet, what's fascinating is really b'peh achas. Peh echad. Thank you. Listen, I spelled, let's not go back to that. How you spell God? Trivia question. B'peh echad, all the paiskim come along and they say very extreme things. That was the slowest reaction ever. They say you needed him to explain it, and then you had a slow reaction. The Chasam Sefer starts it off, and he says, "This chayli," what do you say? This chayli for Mei Chalav. What was his lashon of the Pesach Tshuva that you all saw? The lashon was De'ein lahachmer l'chayli ksas acher achilas basar b'shihu ya sha'a. Don't be machmir once you wait an hour. Once you wait an hour. It's actually not the lashon of the Pesach Tshuva. Pesach Tshuva quotes him a little bit differently. He says, "Ein sarach lahamten acher achilas basar yoser meisha." The chachmas adam. which we all know, many of our halachas, many of the minhagim come from the Chachmas Adam, the Aruch HaShulchan, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, the Chulu. Chachmas Adam comes along and he says, "L'tzayra chayli ksas, nira li pashet, yesh lahatir afilu achal basar behema," which he's coming along within all the shitas. He's going all the way for the gold. La'achar sheyamtin shah, v'yachati chinav la'achar birchas hamazon. After an hour, Aruch HaShulchan Bereisham comes along and says, "Ba'adam she'inei bari," and again, we'll just read the words one more time, and we'll translate without all the edits that the Eilam felt the Nevardik Rav left out. And I'll mention, and I'll be transparent, there are many who don't like to be Madayik to Aruch HaShulchan out of Seif. Just to be honest with the Chevra over here. Why not? If you read the Aruch HaShulchan, he's very, very verbose. He's very long. He's writing, and he's quoting, and he's writing. So sometimes when you write so much, people say that not every word is as important. Furthermore, it's Yedua that Aruch HaShulchan wrote his Sfarim in between Dinei Torah and the Bezdin. It's Yedua. I don't think this is a contested point. So some want to say, so Avada, what he writes, he writes. He is the Aruch HaShulchan. He is the Nevardik Rav. And Avada, whatever he wrote, it's not like, oh, he was sleeping. He knew what he was doing. But some want to say that to be medayik down to the dot of whatever, some want to call that into question. Some want to. I don't know. I find it, I don't want to be not nice. I find it funny. I mean, he's the Aruch HaShulchan. I mean, we know stories from Ramesh Weinstein, and we know stories from Alav Yashiv, that the whole world's doing who knows what, and he's zoned in. So even, honestly, even the question, it's always at the door, even the question to say, but I just want you to know the way that people sometimes approach the Aruch HaShulchan. So the Aruch HaShulchan points out, V'nira li, ba'adam she'inei bari, you could stay, you don't have to leave. You could, right here. Right here. You're all good. V'nira li, ba'adam she'inei bari, she'tzivo ha'roifin lishtes chalav. I meant that you could daven over here like a man. You don't have to go behind the wall. Okay. Near Ali, don't worry, we won't get you on camera. Ba'adam she'enei bari, she'tzivo ha'roifim lishtais chalav. One who is not well, that the roifim, so he starts off sivahu. What does that mean? Drink milk. Sivahu lishtais chalav. Yachal lismaich al adeya Zuba hamtanas shaba dachas piv. Avsheim by zakana. So we can point right there. The doctors tell Yana Raifi, you must drink milk. So what would most of us say? If we were sitting by a doctor, you're sitting there with a wife, with a child, and the doctor says you're low in iron, you're low in vitamin C, you must drink milk. End of doctor visit. When you walked out, what would you say? Okay, we have to make sure to have more milk in the diet. What do you say? So now, after supper, after an hour, go have ice cream. I don't think anyone in the world would have thought that. You would have all said, make sure to incorporate milk into your diet. The Aruch HaShulchan doesn't say that. Aruch HaShulchan says, go and now be saimich on the day of Zu and wait an hour. What in the world is Pshat in the Aruch HaShulchan? I know everyone here has tried many fascinating things. I don't think there's a shayla. What he's saying is, you wait an hour. Why? So now we're realizing, once we have the whole background, that once there is such a shita and there's a chayla. Now, I'm going to explain to you the psychology of what's l'chayra going on, but I don't know if I have to. We see in the,
There's an entire buildup of an entire column explaining that the halacha is not 6 hours. Then in 2 lines he says that you should go l'chomra, and then he comes saying an hour is fine for you, that's it.
The Ramah said the exact same thing, by the way. The Ramah wrote, and then he said, V'yesh taktikin. Was it part? But he
says, but when the doctor says do it, that's halacha, because the mice that's halacha. So that's not everyone. I mean, the whole thing's a minute.
Again. We're not arguing. I'm good. So then you can argue that with them. I'll explain both stadim just without getting going back in circles again. I'll explain both stadim very simply. He also wrote a payir together yichshanu nachash. So one would think it's a very chomer tikadin. So now, if the doctor says to do it, yesh makayim beitim mizumanim lahakol. Meaning, if you messed up and you didn't have your 6 cups of milk that day, and then you happen to eat a steak, and you're going to bed an hour and a half later, have a cup of milk.
You would agree though if the doctor just tells the kid that he has to eat.
We're going to get to the kids in a moment. We're not to kids yet. We're up to Sivo. I'm going in the first case. In the first case. So, That's what one would have said. Figure it out. And if you didn't figure out, maybe, he's not saying that. He's saying reprogram your brain to wait 1 hour. That's the chiddush. You're saying it's pasha based on the sugya. I don't think it's pasha because we see that the 6 hour heavy hand that's going out of your... the Hilchos Basar just said the same thing. Aruch HaShulchan and Hilchos Basar, by the way, in the world of Psak, are the two biggest heavyweights in what to do lamaisa. After the Shulchan Aruch, you have the Aruch HaShulchan, you have the Hilchos Basar, you have the kids of Shulchan Aruch. This is what the Ganze Europe did for hundreds of years. Yeah.
Indiscriminate, like you don't even have to be like conscious about like should I?
So what I'm bringing out, very good, Maish, thank you for spelling it out. What I'm bringing out is that the Aruch HaShulchan seems to be saying there's no like your brain now is 1 hour brain. That's what he seems to be saying. Can someone argue and someone say, he says, yes, yachol lismaich, and he doesn't mean that? I'm telling you, the words seem to be very clear that he's saying this person needs it for his health, so you wait 1 hour. Let's go weiter. Continues Aruch HaShulchan, v'cheinarei naira, a child, kechushim, that are weak. And now he's very meduyak. A moment ago he said someone who is not well and the doctors commanded them. Over here he doesn't say that. He says they're weak, urifu asam. And the refuah, the remedy for their weakness is what? It's called vitamin C pills. It's called Uncle Maishi gummies. It's called other gummies, but that's a different story. It's called, iron. Back Bisman Navardik, what was it called? A glass of milk, like a normal person. Tropicana orange juice. Lishtais chalav dai lahem nacham al bantanasha. He says the same thing. He says if one is weak and calcium, vitamin C is the answer, you wait an hour. Again, how far to take this, we have not said yet. And that's what they say. The Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky points out and answers the kasha I think a lot of the Olam Yir had, that the Chassam Sofer didn't say chalav straight. He said mei chalav, which would lead one to believe, but not chalav. Says Rav Yaakov, mistaver even chalav mamish. He just loved dafka to Chassam Sofer, but okay. Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, in his godless, the Shulchan Alevi, Rebelsky writes the same thing. Yesh lahatir, one who's chayla ma'at, and again, just if we didn't spell it out, what's chayla ksas? It's in contrast to chayla she'ein by sakana. And by the way, what's a chayla she'ein by sakana? Let's just remind ourselves, we're not dealing with high levels over here. Someone with the flu is a chayla she'ein by sakana. Someone with an average cold is chayla ksas. I know this sounds very extreme, and I'm not gonna, no one should walk out of here saying like, anyone that has a little sniffle in the winter doesn't have to wait 6 hours. But that's what it sounds like. It sounds like anyone with a little sniffle, and we all know in the winter, everyone says, and this all the doctors talk about, boost your immune system, have vitamin C, and have this. I would never say such a thing, but like it almost sounds like, if, you can't really have such a stat, but if one would say that, yeah, if you were to know, and this is really where the Chayil Aruch HaShulchan is coming from, that you could have milk after an hour, you would be drinking more milk, and then you would be getting less colds and getting less sick, which probably statistically is true.
There are all these vitamins nowadays.
Oh, so that's a good question. Yes, a very good question. Good. I was going to answer that kasha. And I'll just bring it up now. I'm going to bring that up right now. I think you're asking an excellent question, and I think that really, and it's, I don't know what to say at this Shema. It just, maybe it hit us both at the same time, that there's a problem here. This whole thing should go out the window. Everything, A to Z. There should never be a heter again. For someone who's sick, you should be taking vitamins. Someone with heartburn, you should be having baking soda or Tums. Someone with this, what baking soda works, but just take a spoonful. It might be nasty, but it works. Ayin Sham. It's good to know in dire moments. So, Ayin Sham. Someone with whatever. So l'chayra would sound like this whole thing should be out the window, and that's a very big l'chayra. I'll say the one case, maybe not in a moment. Again, that's Rebelsky. So all talking shah achas for a chayla. Very fascinating. Diane Fisher.
Why is that true though? In my study, a din hour is the din. Meaning is 6 hours. So even if you have
Oh, okay, good. Very good. Good one. Okay. Now that fine, I'll continue what my thought was. I was going to say the one time that it's l'chayr still true is that if one needs one needs vitamins. Okay, good. So we're going to have to get to a pregnant woman and mubaris. The categories of women that are quote unquote, as the Aruch HaShulchan said, cholosh, weak, and need whatever they could get. So those categories of women, and they go to the doctor, and what does the doctor say? By the way, you're vitamin C, you're iron deficient. What do they tell them to do? Go take vitamins. Good. Now, Lemaisa, what happens next? I mean, everyone here says, oh, she's a loyal soldier, and she goes take vitamins. What's the shayla? The problem is it doesn't always work that way. And the problem is, as much as you could go take vitamins, people b'mitzias aren't so good at remembering to take pills. That's just the way it happens. And they might make them in the gummy form, they might make them in this form, they might make it everything in the world. People just don't do it. People just don't do it. So now we're going back to our circle. Why is he allowing us to wait 1 hour? Because we want the person to be better. And we're not making it into case by case. So l'chaira, that was the one case that I was going to modify, and I was going to say that if one is a person that shkayach vitamins, l'mais, that's not happening. And if she or whatever it is knows that they can wait an hour, they're going to end up having more milk, more dairy, more coffee, more things to give them chizik, then that would help them. L'chayr, that would be the one case. I'll bring up one more shayla, which Meir, you're bringing up also, is what about cost? What about cost? What if someone says these vitamins are a fortune? And what do I need vitamins? I'll just make sure to have extra dairy and extra yogurt and extra thing. And I don't want to have to go and be bothered by buying the vitamins. And some vitamins have kashrus concerns. I don't know. It's a very valid point you're bringing up. That if there is such a thing, well, why go crazy? Yes.
Well, a lot of antibiotics, stronger ones, that you must drink a glass of milk.
That would be a very good case also. That would be a very good case also. That would be a very good case also. L'chayr, that's l'chayr pashut. I don't think anyone would argue in that. My only argument would be in the world of medicine, which I'm not going to argue. Do you actually need the glass of milk? I don't know. What? Yeah, good.
It says it on medicine.
Again, like I said, and I won't say it. I said, right, exactly. Thank you. Now that you brought it up, I'll bring it up. Called tough. We'll send you the link for the end of this year. Well, let me ask you, a Haimishar. Do you ever hear that a pregnant woman in the Haimish world don't wait 6 hours when they're pregnant?
Yeah, a pregnant woman has a tremendous amount of leniencies, especially by real Hasidim. Tremendous amount.
Do you ever hear dafka about 1 hour? Or?
No, but there is definitely leniencies there because it's not so much refuah, because cravings can cause issues. So it's,
good.
It's not helping because
good.
It's craving
good.
Can cause. But I learned a very interesting thing, kids, sir.
No.
I don't know if we pass like that, but it's written in black and white.
No.
Do you guys, when you drink a coffee or a tea, do you make a burn of flushes afterwards?
So good. You know what the answer is? What I'm about to do. The answer is, so this coffee, if you look at it, someone would say is a latte. There's a lot of milk. So the kitzer, when he drank his coffee, he sipped it.
He says, even if you don't,
good.
But you sip,
good.
You're not making enough.
Good. So if the minog is nowadays that we don't sip, and a lot of the, so listen, a lot of this is an age bracket thing. A lot of people just drink it straight. A lot of people drink it straight.
Coffee?
Right here. I'm sitting here with about 5 ounces, and I'm about to take the whole thing straight.
Okay, so you're already. I'm talking basic Allah.
Yeah. No. So I'm saying is the kitzer we would theoretically paskin like, but if there's categories of people that drink coffee straight, then it will be more subject to person.
Okay, so tea is something.
Yeah, tea would be a good example also.
Another Allah.
Yeah.
This is already a little bit. I think people more know about this.
No.
But when you're going to get married in Yetz Hashem, you're going to come home and you have an expectation of getting the soup, a piece of chicken or meat, and a side dish. And then afterwards, your wife brings out something you didn't expect.
Very good.
You have to make another bracha.
Very good. That's more subject to debate.
Except if you're eating by a guest, by somebody.
Then that's on them.
So this is
very good. Very good. That's a little bit more. Very good. Shkoyach. Have a great day.
Have a lovely day.
You too. Okay, so where are we holding? Oh, your cup of milk. Cup of milk is a. By the way, I want to put something about kitzer. People. And just, it's good to know what goes on in the world. People learn kitzer. Other people get up and scream and say, the kitzer says these things, and we don't paskin like them. So number one is you get to Art School Edition. I'm not getting commission, but you get to Art School Edition. And on the bottom, they bring all the Mishnah Berurahs that argues. So then you already know what's a shayla, number one. Number two, for I don't know how many years, I'm not a historian, many, many, many years in Europe, everyone did like the kitzer, straight, the Rabbanim, that's what they did. It's a real thing. So after 120, you go upstairs and you say, I stopped making a bracha achroina on my coffee because eating kitzer and dust. Even if maybe the psak isn't that way, Lamaisa, Rav Gansfried will take care of you. So there's a large merit that you learn through a sefer like Kitzur, and you get the gamut. By the way, Kitzur has an Isser Vat also. Goes through everything. The gamut of halacha is going on in there. Then it's incredible sefer. Back to us. Your cup of milk, I love that case. I was pointing out in the world of refuah, just like someone else suggested, don't take more than 2 Advils and whatever. I don't know if everyone is so conscious. I don't want to say more than that. Hey, listen, your father's the doctor. But similarly, do you really need that glass of milk? If yesterday you didn't have the glass of milk, why? You just weren't into a glass of milk. So what did you do? You took the medicine, and you're like, l'chaira, having a cookie works. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. That's all I'll point out, but I like that case as well. Let's continue. I just got a few more sources. I'm saying that Dayan Fisher, so that Fisher, the Heilige Eben Yisrael, this is one of the beauties when you see everything inside. He says 4 hours. And someone would see that tshuva and be like, 4 hours, Dayan Fisher, did you fall on your head? Either it's 3 hours like the unsourced yakis, or it's 6 hours like your Reich Torah. Where did the 4 hours come from? But now we know it came from the Pri Chadash. And he's being very machmir here. I don't know. I'm very fascinated by that because not his style. But either way, let's leave it. He says Chelishim, but it's has to be 4 hours. Weiter. Rebelski has a tshuva. I actually wanted to look at it, but I didn't. Maybe we could get the tshuva. Chelik Aleph Perik Chav Beis, and he writes, Chayla Ma'at doesn't have to wait 6 hours. He could wait 1 hour, but I don't have the whole tshuva. I would like to see it. Finally, and we conclude part A of today's shiur, and then we'll go straight into French fries with a mi'uberes. So mi'uberes and meinekes. Some want to say mi'uberes and meinekes. I don't know. We just read many sources, and no one said mi'uberes and meinekes. The Pesach Tshuva spoke about a chayla, the Aruch HaShulchan, the Chachmas Adam. They're all talking about a chayla ksas. So many would want to at this point say, if a mubaris is a chayla, she's a chayla. If she's not a chayla, she's not a chayla. It just depends. And that probably might be the answer, but I would like to modify that a little bit. But the answer is, what level of chayla? Chayla ksas. What's chayla ksas? Let's remind yourself. That's like the cold. That's like... not again. So that's part 2. We'll get there in 1 second. But it's subjective. L'chayra. Now, a meinekes in the world of halacha is fascinating. It's fascinating. For the first month after birth, there's no shayla. She has a din of chalish ein b'sakana straight. There's no shayla. After that, until Chavdalet Chadashim, 24 months, we find all of our halacha that a meinekes has a din of a meinekes for many halachas. Question is if that's real. What if she's not nursing anymore? She stopped nursing at 6 months, and she's 18 months after birth. She's din of a meinekes. So there are those. Chaim Pinchas Scheinberg, Lemaisa, it's sort of sourced. He held a meinekes is a din. It's a din, and for 24 months, I don't care what's going on in her life, which it comes out like almost crazy. You could have 2 children and not be nursing either one, and he's still, what? Yeah. And he's still giving them a din meinekes. For what dinim? Like fasting. Like real dinim. Not like, he learns it's a din, it's a teva in the bria, that for 24 months after birth, you have a chulsha beguf, which is grad the lashon of the Gemara, so it's not such a chiddush. And that's what he holds. But the lemaisa comes along the Salmas Chaim, the Shevet Levi. We'll read the Salmas Chaim, Yisrael Chaim Zanefeld, and he writes that Kol Zaman, he says Afshar, I will be honest. Kol Zaman Sheminekes, Oimu Beres, Imargish Etzricha Kamoi Le'inyin Tainis, Chotz Miteshabav, then you wait. And we know, if you're putting in the same dinam as Tainis, we know what that means for many of the women. And the Shevet Levi says the same thing. Oimu Beres, Sheminekes, doesn't have to wait 6 hours, and they only have to wait 1 hour. I did one time here, and I tried to verify this, and I got into trouble. That's why I asked him. I one time heard that there's a Kabbalah in Europe that many women, there was like a minog, that their pregnancy waits 1 hour. Someone suggested that. I've never seen it sourced. I asked this to someone who's proficient in European minhagim, and he wanted to throw me out the room. It's not making things up. What are you talking about? Klai Yisrael wasn't born yesterday, and all the wonderful things. I don't know. Very good. He quotes, you saw what he says. He quotes the Chassam Sefer, it's Ray Belsky over here. Thank you, I appreciate a little noise. Beautiful. He quotes the Chassam Sefer, and he says, nothing. He just quotes the Chassam Sefer. Excuse me. Can't afford the whole question. Shar Kotan, where does it start? It's the middle of a sentence. What's the Yesh Lahatir, the evil tshuva writer? What's the question? What? He says not to wait 6, but then in the beer, Rebelski's chuvas were beautiful. He wrote them, he knows that, you're not reading the whole thing. So he summarized it at top. And then Ber Moshe did that also, right? Yeah, it's very nice. A lot of the Naya chuvas here, Vaydaber Moshe, a lot of these, they put, yeah. He ends over here, ask a Rav. Okay, we conclude then Lamaisa that the Paiskim want to say maybe Mubarak and Aminekis is the same way. As our wonderful contractor was pointing out, there's something called cravings. And this is a different area of halacha. When in Hilchos like Yom Kippur, we find that it says if a Mubarak wants to eat food, all of a sudden we're dealing with it. And it's like a funny thing, why don't we just tell her go jump in a lake, it's Yom Kippur, what are you doing? That's a whole discussion. We tell her Yom Kippur, and if she says Afal Pike, whole sugya. From there, that's where the Gemara, I believe it's Gemara Niyuma, comes from, that a craving is real. If a woman, and we've all seen the Gemaras, I'm assuming, talk about a shamish. If the waiter is coming in, one of the reasons you have to give the waiter to eat, because if the waiter smells the food and he really wants it, it could cause him a sakana if he doesn't eat it. It's like a real thing. And that's really where it comes from, that for cravings will be makel. And I think, I'll tell you what departing most say, is that if a woman has cravings, she's allowed to have milchiks. The problem with that statement is the only problem with it is just that no woman ever ends up having milchiks based on that statement. Because she says, I would love ice cream right now. And her husband says, well, we just had a supper 2 hours ago. And she says, I really, really would love ice cream right now. And he's like, is that called a craving? And he calls up the Rav, and by that point, she's like, just forget it, or not, or not. A real craving. So Rav's like, wait, does she still want it? And she's like, this is ridiculous. Whatever it is, that is what goes on. That is what goes on. L'chayra, once we learn the sigyo, we all can realize that it doesn't come, the pashtus is not coming from a one-time desire. That's a different heter. That heter of a craving, I'm asking to also. And that's real. And if she really wants it, and by the way, I might even agree with what you're saying, that even if it's less than an hour, the Shevet Alevi wants to say maybe even less than an hour. You could wait for an hour, and that would probably be in a case of a craving. Don't you think that in Yom Kippur we let cravings eat? It doesn't actually ever play out in real life, so don't get nervous. I'm going to figure out why not. But it comes to us, that's cravings. But there's something else over here. And the question is, does she need milk in her diet? And often, if not always, the answer is yes. For a mubaris, for a minekis for sure, there's no shayla. Milk is good for her, and dairy is good for her. And it's not just milk, it's all dairy. It's, schmerlings, and what other types of dairy are there? And no, those are non. The Chol Yisrael ones are non-dairy. It's plant-based, right? Right. I'm joking. Yeah, the Hershey's those are Chol Stam, and all of those things. The chayr is good for her. Again, I think if you were to ask the average OBGYN, is it good for the average? Is it good for a pregnant woman to be having extra milk, dairy products in her diet? I believe the answer is conclusively yes. I believe everyone could. I believe the answer is conclusively yes. Now, there's other benefits to all these things. Often they feel weak. Why does she feel weak on a Shabbos afternoon? It's the reason why you feel weak and you're not looking around the bowling ball in your not your stomach, but you're not looking around the bowling ball. Why? Because you're weak. Because the kids, the matzah, they're tired. And she feels tired. She feels weak, and she's going to collapse. That's for sure cholsha. That's sure chaliksas, no shayla. And what does she want? She wants a cup of coffee. So you can say, if you could have the coffee with almond milk, and if you could do it, I hear. But if not, and that's why, well, this will conclude. Often, when the psak is, in a case of, I think that's pshat in the Aruch HaShulchan. When the psak is for a craving, for this, it never happens. But I believe you see in the Aruch HaShulchan, and that's the same thing that the Shevet Levi is passing by Mubares, is that they need this to make them better. So that's why it's wait an hour. So now it's reprogrammed the brain. When you're pregnant, when you're nursing, you're allowed to wait an hour and eat. And then what's going to happen? She's going to end up taking better care of herself. Then she's going to end up having the yogurt after 3 hours. Why? Because she knows she's allowed to have dairy products. And she's going to be having the bowl of cereal, and she's going to be having the chocolate bar, she's going to be having the cup of coffee. And that l'chaira is the psak halacha. Just to end with ketanim, the way that they say it over, I don't remember who they say it from. Who's it, Rav Henkin? Which American gadol they say it b'shem? That every year you add on an hour. I don't remember. They say that a child, this is what they say. They say that from 6 years before their bar mitzvah, bar bas mitzvah, every year you add on an hour. You add on an hour. L'maisa, it's not really so accurate. And they quote over here very nicely from Shmuel first. It says b'shem Ramosha. Okay, it's a b'shem Ramosha, but again, I think it just brings out the Balabatisha point that what's higil chinuch? They say you have to know what is 6 hours. Again, chinuch is subjective. Chinuch is a child, when are you machanech on mukso? When the kid understands mukso, which is why Chaim Kanievsky says the whole world does it wrong, because kids don't understand mukso. They think everything is mukso, and therefore Chaim just asks on the velt, what are we doing that everything is muksa? But chinuch is subjective, That's why Lahalach Mishbura says, there's no, let's not give all examples in the world. So the Rav Shmuel first said, B'Shem Ramosha, when a child understands, I thought it was beautiful, how long it takes to drive from Chicago to Detroit, then, I don't know, do I understand the long it takes to drive from Chicago to Detroit? Then he's ready to wait 6 hours. He says that chinuch is, and then he goes weiter, and this was the point I wanted to quote, there's a Magen Avraham that says anything that's going to cause sar for the child, there's no mitzvah of chinuch on it. That's the reason why children are allowed to eat before davening, and that's the reason why other halachos, the reason is because that which will cause sar to the child, there's no din of chinuch on. The chinuch on. And therefore, when it comes to 6 hours, I know people say every year is an hour, but it's with a leeway. I guess that's the right way to say it. It's more getting the kid into the mode that they have to wait, that there's such a thing as 6 hours, that v'chulu. Everyone talks about it. Everyone, all of the above. Every single saver in the history of the world talks about children. Like we just said. Is it just like we just said? It's chinuch. It's all telling the child. Chalkis Yaakov says it. Everyone says it. Okay, weiter. Let's go into French fries. I'm pointing out we did not talk about hard cheeses, and okay, I guess that's going to be for another. Another part of life. So when it comes to Ramah and Sif Gimel. Ramah in Sif Gimel. The Ramah in Sif Gimel, which you all saw, we have a sugya called Tafshil Shal Basar, Tafshil Shal Gvina. A fascinating sugya that you learn in the Shulchan Aruch, and it starts saying in Sif Gimel that you eat a Tafshil Shal Basar, you're allowed to eat a Tafshil Gvina afterwards. And the first time you see this, you're like, what in the world is going on? I'm sure anyone who learned the Yerusha B'Shtabura, in Kofayin Gimel, and he says a similar thing over there, you're like, what? There must be a mistake over here. It must have messed up. Well, you have Gvina after Basar, you can't do that. And the reason it's called a Tafshil. What is a Tafshil? That is the $1 million question. Lamaisa, the Ramah is Machmir, and the Ramah says even a Tafshil Shal Basar, you have to wait afterwards for a Tafshil Shal Gvina. The $1 million question is, just what are we talking about? That's, the real point of contention over here. If we were to know what we're talking about, there'd be no discussion. Comes on the Shach, and the Shach right away really blows open the sugya in Sivkatim Yates. And the Shach teaches us that what's going on over here is you're making food in a pot that was loy hodcha yafeh, wasn't washed properly, wasn't cleaned properly, and he spells out there's ksas mamoshe shel iser, shel basar. And then in that scenario, he says, you're not allowed to eat cheese with that item. What he says, he's very, very precise about. What he doesn't say is the shayla, but we have to know what does he say. You have a pot, was not washed, there's bits of meat to the point that you can't put cheese in there, very important. Then you can eat cheese after. Which when you hear this the first time, it's absolutely insane. What does it sound like? Sounds like you have your crack pot that you just finished making your cholent in it. You took out all the cholent, and what's on the bottom? Little cholent left inside of it. What do you make inside there? You make rice. You make rice. You make rice, and you take that bowl of rice, and you say, oh, let's put cheese on the rice. That's not normal, right? In the world, ever put cheese on rice? No. Never. Never. What? What did I say wrong?
Dump rice into the pot that had clean it out. You just didn't do an amazing job.
You cleaned it out, but there's still some cholent on the bottom. Again, I'm going in the pashtus. The Pislei Tshuva speaks this out. This is the pashtus. At the end of the day, no one's going to probably say this, but let's just go in the pashtus. Yes, it was cleaned out. Maybe I didn't paint the picture well. You cleaned it out, but there's still some cholent left in there. To the point that the rice that you made in there, when you call up the Rav, or the noodles that you made in there, I don't know why you make noodles in your kragba, can I put cheese in that? And you tell him the story. He says, are you crazy? There's bits of meat in there. You can't put cheese in there. Givaldik. But then he says, but by the way, if you eat the noodles, you eat the rice, afterwards you can have cheese. And you hear this, it sounds absolutely insane. What in the world is the shah? Which is really the Pislei Tshuva. Everyone, Pislei Tshuva, Rav Kiva Eger, Prima Gadim, Beis Meir, Yad Yehuda, that was everyone. They all come along and they want to figure out what is pshat in the shach. Which, by the way, parenthetically, you realize who the shach was. No one comes along and says, shach, you push a fell on your head, and I don't know what you're talking about. And Avada, that's not what's going on here in the Ramah. And when the Ramah says that you're allowed to eat, when it says that you make it in a Kedei Shel Basar, you're allowed to eat afterwards, Gevina, all he's talking about is a Kedei Shel Basar and Belias. And Koltov, no one says that. No one says that. Like, part of me just thinks that if this was a Taz, I don't want to be not nice, but if this was a Taz, the Shach would be like, Taz, you crazy, and it's not what it's talking about, and there would be nowhere in the world to be Bekel. Like, maybe someone would be like, oh, Shas Hatchak Gadol, Yena Taz, and then we're like, Taz, you crazy? But it's a Shach, and everyone goes with the Shach. The question is, how far do we go with the Shach? Comes on the Pislei Tshuva, and he paints the picture, mamish beautifully as always, from the Ber Hativ, and he says that, let's ask a fundamental shayla. Is there shishim? What's the question? If there's shishim, shayla doesn't start. Why? Because then it's batal. If I made rice in the pot, and there was a dot of meat, and it was batal in the rice, can I put cheese in that rice? Of course. That rice is 100% barf. There is no meat in there at all. Now, sidebar, it's not fully accurate what I just said, because that's going to be telling another sugya that we have to learn, that if you bikavana made it in this pot to put cheese in it, you're not allowed to. Does everyone know what I just said? I could explain, I just don't want to. If you bikavana make something in a fleshika pot to put cheese in it, even in a way that if you made the cheese in it would be mutter, you're not allowed to do it, bikavana. That's the Ashkenazim, and that's where things get like. So that's why it is a little bit complicated. If one day we do Sadiyeh, can you imagine if we did Sadiyeh first and everyone said, no, the French fry Shaila. If only we did Peitas. Can you imagine? Okay, Givaldik. So now, let's move on. So that's what the Pislei Tshuva comes along. It says, if it's batal, then there's no Shaila, it's Pasha. Elamai, it's not batal. It's not batal? Crazy. And yet, you still can have cheese afterwards. Says the Pislei Tshuva, Ulafizeh, Pshita ditavshel that you put in it shuman. Bikavana, it's not a mistake. You're making rice, and you take shuman. What's shuman? Fat. What's fat? Basar, says the Ramah. Pashtus, that's not a contested point. You take basar in the liquid form, ki'ilu, called shuman, grivin, chicken fat, and that's what grivin is, chicken fat that you just fry. Maybe take off the feathers or not, depending on minhagim. And you put that inside your rice. Says the Pislei Tshuva, it doesn't make you fleishiks. Doesn't make you fleishiks. So number one, what you see over here is, it's the skins, it's the fat, it's both together. It depends which piece you get. But can you imagine if they serve fleishiks here? We'd have a field day. So number one, what do you see for this Siman? And maybe I should have prefaced with this. What you see is one thing for sure. Waiting 6 hours does not equal eating with milk. Misconception in the entire world. That is what the entirety of Sif Gimel teaches you. Waiting 6 hours does not equal eating with milk. Meaning, an item that I can't eat with milk will not require me to wait 6 hours. And lehefich, an item that I can't eat with meat, I still can eat after meat. For example, the Oreos, if they're still OUDE, I don't know. Everyone should check their local OU and discuss it with them. I think they're still OUDE. Let's say they were. That's mamish or shayla. Because everyone agrees that included in this Ramah and the Shach is blias. That's not a discussion. That if you have a pot with blias of basar, maybe I should have said that, that's the most pasha thing to start. If you have a pot with blias of basar and you make parva in it, or you have a pot with blias of chalav and you make parva in it, what's the din of that item? That's called dairy or fleishiks equipment. And what are you allowed to do with that item? You're not allowed to put the opposite gender in it, but can you eat the opposite gender afterwards? Can you eat the milk afterwards? The answer is yes. That's not debated. That's kuli alma maidim. That's across the board. It's not really across the board. If you go all the way, the case of davar charif, then after real basar, then, okay, so when I say across the board, I mean in the case of blia, just a blia without any other details. Yeah? What's the question?
The shach is talking about tafshil shel basar or one step lower? Isn't the shach one step lower than tafshil?
No, for sure it's one step lower. For sure. For sure. Okay, again, I'm sorry. Yes, let me, I jumped. The Mechaber talks about tafshil basar. Comes along the Ramah, and the Ramah says, number one, Shuman is the din of basar. Number two is we're machmir on tafshil shel basar. Number three, which is what the Shach is daning on, I'm sorry that I didn't give this akdama, if ein basar bitavshil, it's cooked in a kedera shel basar, so it's not a tavshil shel basar, it's a kedera shel basar, then it doesn't make you fleishiks. That's the words of the Ramah, which is what I just backtracked and I just spoke out, that when it comes to beliyos, l'kuli alma maidim, you're okay. And this, by the way, is like, number one, it's funny that there's such a misconception l'chumra out there, but this is number one misconception l'chumra. Yeah. Thank you. Good. I'm sorry. So passionate that the Shach can't fathom the whole thing, and he has to start making it the case has to be a dirty pot, because there's no way that the Ramah is just telling you that if you made your noodles in your fleishik a thing, you think it makes you fleishiks. You're crazy. You're crazy. Yes?
Cheese with it.
Whatever. Insuant, I'm just nervous to say that because in the world of Lamaisa you can't, because if you made it for that kavanah, v'chulu. But yeah, ba'atzem, you could put, ba'atzem, you could put cheese on it. Very good. I just want to be, I know everyone here knows what I'm talking about. I just want to be clear. So now, the question is how far can we take this? And before we go weiter, holy cow, it's late. Before we go weiter is, and we're just going to speak out the Pislei Tshuva, we're going to speak out the Beis Lachem Yehuda, we're going to speak out the Beis Meir of Kiva Eger, and then we're going to speak out the Yad Yehuda, and then we're going to call it a day basically. Just to say what cases are we talking about. Again, I just want to paint the picture, give you the shitas, and then end with where everything falls in. What cases are we talking about? So we'll go from easy to more extreme. Case number one is what we just spoke about, Blias. Good. Case number two is going to be called like Blias plus. What's that? That's going to be called like a kugel from a fleishik establishment. It's really just Blias. But one would get a little bit nervous that it's being made in proximity to meat, and it's being made, what? It's maybe cooked in an oven with meat, and maybe there's other meat around. That's really called like Blias plus. That's going to be like case number two. Then case number three is going to be, what if you have something pariv that you put something fleishiks in it? You know, you took the wrong spoon and you took a piece of kugel. You took the spoon from the challah and you took your kugel. I just told you that the kugel is pariv, but then the guy before you took the spoon from the challah, which of course is fleishiks. The spoon. No, the challah is fleishiks, obviously, and they stuck it in the kugel, and you come there like, oh shoot, I was busy waiting to get the kugel that's pariv, but now I see that the spoon from the challah dripping with meat is sitting in the kugel. Forget it, I can't touch the kugel. That's going to be the next case. Similarly with rice, is very common in yeshivas and kedushim, v'chulu. And again, the question that we want to know is afterwards, can I have milk? Not with it. We're not asking that. Afterwards, can I have it? And then the avdi kulam is going to be the French fries. It's going to be the French fries, which in the oil, v'chulu. Yes? Davar Charif, I don't. Okay, at the end, remind me. I'll talk about Davar Charif. I don't want to talk about it because we don't really know what it is. We're going to mention that Rav Kiva Eger and the Beis Meir learned this sugya within the context of Davar Charif, but we can't fully appreciate it. But we'll mention. Good. Those are the cases. Oil is of the highest level, and as we go through it now, we're going to paint the picture. So again, the Pislei Tshuva learns that the pot is dirty. It's not bottle. And so much so you could bikavana put in the shuman into that rice, and it doesn't make you fleishiks. One could ask a fundamental question at this stage of the game. Do you taste the chatichais basar? Do you taste the hot shlayot chuyafet? Do you taste the shuman? What would one seem to answer to that question? Yes, it would seem. And no one really wants to go lemaisa arasayf in this nekuda. But it would seem that in a pure Pislei Tshuva, and we all know that Chazon Ish, you always say this when it's not the psak on the page, right? The Chazon Ish said that the Pislei Tshuva on the page is the psak halacha, and then you all know, there's 14,000 other times that we don't do that. True. But just bringing out that the Pislei Tshuva is a very, very big heavyweight. And he seemed to learn the shach. He's talking about that you taste what's going on there. So again, if I were to have a bowl of white rice and a bowl of white rice being in this dirty pot, you would taste the difference. And maybe even you would taste this lachluchis, you would taste this shuman, you would taste this. That's what it sounds like. I know that sounds insane. Totally. That's what he says. Good. Comes on the Beis Lachem Yehuda. He cannot be soivel. And the Pislei Tshuva. And again, we'll add on, does the Pislei Tshuva himself believe what we just said? He, at one point of his life, did. But then he says, I found the Sefer Beis Lachem Yehuda. And now he brings in his pshat. And is he chayzer? It's not perfectly clear in the Pislei Tshuva if he's chayzer. Not perfectly clear. The Beis Lachem Yehuda says one step lower that avada it's not batal, and avada there's lachluchas, but you don't taste it. If you taste it, then avada it gives you a din of basar. There's no way out of it. Beis Lachem Yehuda can't be seivel. Again, I'm not really playing it all the way back into the sugya. I think everyone here could own just because this is already taking a long time. That's the Beis Lachem Yehuda. Beis Lachem Yehuda comes along and he says that avada is totally in tam. Next is we have Rav Kiva Eger and the Beis Meir. They say that this whole sugya is a sugya of davar charif. They say that what's going on over here is if I take my fleishika pot and I make spicy rice, I take jalapeno peppers and onions, I dice them up, I throw them in the pot without any oil, and then I throw in some water, and then I throw in some rice, and I make some spicy jalapeno rice. That's the case, Rav Kiva Eger says, that's the shach, which is what? That the davar charif and the Beis Meir, davar charif pulls out the bliya. So even though the pot is clean, and we just said a moment ago, the Ramah says, Pashit, that bliyas you don't have to wait 6 hours. But what would the din be if a davar charif? Maybe now that it pulls out the bliya, it's more of a be'endik, it's more of a real bliya here. That's what one would think. On that says, does he want video or no?
No.
You're good? Okay. Rabbi Yossi, you want video or you're good like this?
No, this is good.
You're good. Beautiful. Excellent. Okay. Excellent. So, on that says Rav Kiva Eger, and says the Beis Meir, that's the chiddush of the Ramah. That what? Again, you make this rice in a fleishika pot with a... Mir, do you need to be plugged in? I have a charger here. No, you're good. With a, what? A rice with jalapenos and with onions in a fleishika pot. It's pulling out the bliyos. You eat that rice, you eat those jalapenos. Now, wait, Oivez Mir. We know what does davar charif do? It resurrects, does tchias hamesim on the bliya, and it's ki'ilu, the meat is floating in the pot with my jalapeno peppers. So maybe now I have to wait 6 hours. Al-zez, the chiddush of the Ramah, you don't have to wait 6 hours, says the Beis Meir and says Rav Kiva Eger. That's the next level. And the final pshat, which is more of a pshara, again, this is my words, this is not his words. Just in setup, it seems that the Yad Yehuda is more of a middle ground over here. Again, Yad Yehuda is an extreme heavyweight in Isser V'Heter. The Yad Yehuda over here in Sifkatan Hey, in the Aruch, he also, already set the precedent to write things short and long. I mean, we saw the Chavos Das. Chavos Das. Why are you all looking at me crazy? He also wrote. He wrote Psakim and he wrote Birur. Also. So comes along the Yad Yehuda and he discusses the Shach and he says, what's Pshat? He says, it's totally in whether your kavana was to get the taste. And he says, that's why the Shach says that you don't wash it well. And if something you don't wash well, it's because you don't now want that to be there. You don't want that time. I'll read you a few of his words. He says, Shiny the Divri Avramah Kiv the Noisin Ashuman Bikivon Aloichle, meaning he's really coming to attack the Pislei Tshuva. That if you put it there Bikivon, then it's going to be a problem. Ash Inkin Kant Inkav Nasai Klalachol Zeh Vadarabba Derech Bnei Adam Lahakbi Ladichayafa. Normal people, I don't call anyone normal, but Derech Bnei Adam is to wash the pot well, mishum nikiyos, because you want it clean. So if you didn't do it, kivan she'ein kavanasei lechol tama basar klal ein ligzer b'ishloch achrav givina. There's no problem. So the difference in the Yad Yehuda that's bringing up is you have to be careful. Is as we're now going to journey through all our cases, you always have to ask yourself a new question, says the Yad Yehuda. Not if it's batal or not if you taste it or not, whether you have kavana for it to be there or not. It sounds like, and Rameir, I think this was the point that you were trying to make, it sounds like that you could taste it, but if you didn't want it to be there, if your kavana wasn't for it to be there, then it won't make you wait 6 hours. No? Oh, okay, I'm good. Well, I'll just speak out what the shaila is. What is in kavanase? There's don't want it or don't care. There's two ways of learning in kavanase, bekach. And that's going to be a very big difference when it comes to our French fries, as the Heintiga Paiskim are going to get involved. Now that we have the full picture in front of us, let's go through case by case and figure out which case. Can I bother you to get something to drink? Thank you so much. You make fun of me. I'll say liquid. I'll say something to drink. Thank you very much. I thought I had a coffee, then I told him I'm going to drink it fast. Now I don't have a coffee left. So let's go through all our cases. Yeah? Let's go. So I'm going to add on one more, even simpler case. You just made something in a fleishiga oven. You know, again, what I'm saying, all these things are what people ask. These are of the more common shailas, and a lot of them people think are so pashit nish, they don't even ask. Meaning, oh yeah, the kugel was made in a fleishiga oven. Don't have a coffee afterwards. Don't have a coffee afterwards. Yeah, it was made in a fleishiga oven. So. I'm just showing you, this is what people think. People equate, thank you very much. I made 52 brachas already. Being makbid on the Meah brachas per shah. Lamaisa with the bathroom. I don't even know what the shaila is. Not times to go to the, anyways, it's going to sound weird on camera. That's good, my mother doesn't watch these. Anyways, so, people equate the two dinim, just so everyone knows what goes on in the Welt. People think waiting 6 hours and putting milk together is the exact same thing. So they think, oh, this kugel was made in a fleishig oven, this kugel was made of fleishig utensils. They go into the store and it says fleishig equipment, dairy equipment. They say, done, finished, kol tov. Can I have milk afterwards? I'm fleishig. That's what everyone. That's a lot of people think. And that's really what the Sugya teaches us. Bechlal not. So let's go through all the cases. Made in a fleishig oven, there's no shayla in the world. No, there's no shayla in the world. Is there any? There's no shayla in the world. Now I'm just in a fleishig oven. Just the oven. That you're allowed to eat.
Nothing else in the oven.
Nothing in the oven. I'm just being extreme. No one in the world, whether you hold an oven, is an oven, it's not an oven, there's not there, don't make no difference. You don't have to wait 6 hours. Kuli alma maidim. You make something in a fleishig pot, ben yaimai, eino ben yaimai. Again, kuli alma maidim. You don't have to wait 6 hours. Clean pot, like a normal person. Don't have to wait 6 hours. And again, anytime I say don't have to wait 6 hours, on the flip side, if it's dairy made in that, you're allowed to eat it after basar, barring potentially davar charif that we'll get to at the end. So, no? What's
dairy that made in the fleishig pot?
my Oreos, no. Dairy that's made in a dairy equipment pot that I'm allowed to eat it when I'm fleishigs.
So not dairy.
Correct.
Something
Oreos, some Oreos made of, I'm just saying, I'm using the example of kugel made in a fleishig pot. I'm saying it's not fleishigs, meaning you can eat milk afterwards, so to the flip. If you make noodles in the milchige pot, you can eat those noodles after you eat fleishiks. Good. Everything we're talking about at the moment, you can't eat with. Now, how much can you not eat it with? We need to learn more for. Meaning, can I serve it at the same suda? Can I put it on the same plate?
No, the pot that's clean you could eat with.
Again, I'm not going to go into them because some of them we're going to go all the way and some of them we're not. So yeah, I agreed. Again, we're just discussing the din of waiting 6 hours. There are, for example, I'll just give you, we just said something made in a fleishik oven and it's pariv, you could serve that at a dairy meal, there's no problem, according to whatever, and maybe you could even put cheese on it, So those are more advanced halachas that we're going to have to get to. But for now, we're just discussing the halacha of waiting 6 hours. And I'll put it, one thing I will give is serving after. That you could definitely be makel on any of these things. You want to serve it as a dessert. You want to serve it, you want to serve it as a different course. That you could. You do not have to wash your mouth out. Does anyone disagree with me? You don't have to wash your hands. The only thing you might have to do is you might have to wash your hands. You might have to wash your hands, but this time we're not going to have that issue anyways because we don't eat with our hands. So that's a different story. It's a different story. I'm just a drum there.
I don't understand why you wouldn't have to wash your mouth out.
Because it's not fleishiks. It's not dairy.
Can you eat it together?
Getting together. Great. I'm not eating together.
You might have the other gender in your mouth.
First of all, most of them you
Dairy enough that you can't eat together, right?
it's not. Maybe no, not always. A lot of them it's not true. That's why it's a little bit complicated. Let's just go to the noodle case for a moment. Yeah, I made the noodles in the milchige pot. Yeah, I made noodles for lunch one day in a milchige pot. Good. The next night I eat supper. I'm hungry after supper. I just want to have plain noodles after my fleishik meal. No problem. Good. The next night I'm like, you know what? Why don't I put them together with meatballs? Can I put those noodles with meatballs? So it's going to depend. If it was an Eina Ben Yemai pot and I have leftover noodles, I could. So then I wouldn't have to. Now you are right that in some of our permutations that we're about to go into, it's going to be more scary. I will agree. But in most not. Good. Next case. Next case is, okay, so those are all the kalim cases, which is gavaldik. Cooked together, zayah. At the worst, you're going to have every explanation of the shach. Every single one in the shach is going to be makel on zayah. Does anyone disagree with what I just said? No. Mayor? No? Anyone want to disagree? Speak now or forever hold your peace? No. Okay. Great. Next. Now is where it gets a little bit more. Now is where we have to don actual tam. And now is where the case where the chalon spoon. If somehow, the answer is no, because maybe we don't even believe in zayah, maybe our ovens don't really have it. You want to know if like you I don't know. I don't even know how a case you'd get like, I don't know, maybe you have like a small oven and a very saucy item and somehow your kugel tastes like it. I don't know. What?
But it's definitely less than like the yafa.
Yeah, for sure. Lo yodcha yafa is not bottle. Not bottle. It's ben. Yeah. Now, he's bringing up a new nekuda, which is the Beis Lachem Yehuda, that says whether it's bottle or not, if it gives you tam, it's a problem. So, if it would give you tam, I don't know of a case of Zay giving you tam. The only case that might be, which we're going to get to together with the French fries, is going to be the kugel floating in the chalon. That might be a case at this time. That's going to be that same last level of kugels of French fries. The next level is where they're served side by side, and the spoon was put one back to the next. Okay, so now first of all, just balabatish. Just be careful not to make a silly mistake. Just because the spoon was stuck in half the kugel, the other half the kugel didn't touch the spoon. Again, this is nothing to do with belias. This has nothing to do with can you now go put cheese on. It's nothing to do with the spoon was boiling hot and I stuck it in and now we know that maybe cham miksasai, cham kulai. It's nothing to do with anything. This is very balabatish over here. So if the spoon was stuck into this half of the pan, this half of the pan is no sheiches. That bad. So again, that I didn't just say anything. I just said balabatish, whatever. The next case would be, what if you actually served with that spoon? Now that's gonna be the first case that we actually have to be careful about. If I serve a piece of kugel with a spoon that has cholent on it, so what's the answer? So now we can go through all our shitais. According to Rav Akiva Eiger, according to the Beis Meir, you have to be machmer in that case. You have to be machmer in that case. According to the Beis Lachem Yehuda, it's totally in tam. Is there tam? Usually, yeah. I mean, if there was a little bit of cholent on there, usually, yeah. And again, let's just, if the spoon was full of cholent and you took a piece of kugel and now your kugel is half cholent, then you're eating cholent. It's not, that's not the case.
There's no time if it's cleaned up.
So no, what I'm saying is that, they took the spoon and they served cholent.
The actual piece of kugel is not going to have a piece of cholent. When you get to the bottom of the kugel that has cholent on it,
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about eating the whole thing. So if you actually eat the cholent, then it's a problem. But there could very well be some middle level that the spoon was like cleanish. It was a watery cholent. So the spoon was cleanish. It had some of the juices from the cholent. And now when I serve the kugel, I can eat that whole kugel. I'll never taste that it was the wrong spoon.
But the label used for chicken soup.
Yeah, similar.
If you're being, obviously not, right?
Yeah, that's actually a very good example. I like the example. You serve chicken soup, and you take that ladle and you serve rice. So even though the ladle went into the chicken soup, I don't believe anyone in the world, when they eat that rice, is like, I taste chicken soup. I don't think so. Maybe if your chicken soup is very, very, very tasty and it was dripping wet on you, then maybe. But that would be the Beis Lachem. What are you saying about that,
Meaning, you don't taste chicken soup.
Yeah.
Who says that the base Meir and Kibbutz would not?
We don't know that they wouldn't.
Right.
We don't know they wouldn't. Meaning, you're asking, okay.
I'm saying Dabachar has that sort of, obviously.
Again, the pashtus, if you learn that the shach, they're going in the shach, and learning that the chiddush of the Ramah of lo yot chayafa is not lo yot. How do they learn the words of the shach? I'll ask you the question.
Yeah.
How do they learn the words of lo yot chayafa?
Not literal.
They learn in Torah eyes lo yot chayafa, that there's stronger bliyos there due to davar charif. So the pashtus is that once it's past halachic eyes, but it's real lo yot chayafa, it's real, then they'd be maskim that it's a problem. That's the pashtus. Can one argue? Maybe, but I don't think so. So in that case, but wait, you pointed out very good. If you actually take the spoon of the kugel and you start eating the top of the kugel, and like, oh shoot, what? Oh shoot, that part. It's very, very balabatish. You put on your plate. You put the kugel, the kugel, and the cholent. Kugel, it's real thick. I don't believe it.
Goes straight into the cholent. It's called sugar.
You just made it up.
Promise you know.
Your family?
No.
He just made it up. Chavra, Gershe, Kikatan Shanal Dami. He waited 6 hours finally. It's a Nayazach. It's a great name. Someone should go for it. Chugel. I love it. Yissi, get on it. Chugel. So, you put it on the same plate, yeah? And the two are mixing. And you start eating the kugel. And halfway through your kugel, you're like, oh no, I didn't want to be fleishiks. If you didn't eat the cholent, it's very, very, very real.
It's always scary though.
I mean, if it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. I don't know.
There's like one barley if you didn't see it.
I mean, did you eat cholent? The answer is no. If you did, you did. It's not like complicated.
If you're not concentrating, you're gonna get away with is it like if your esophagus is fine?
Yes, for tzaddikim, that when they come to pick up the lunch and they see that the styrofoam cup was consumed, but what was the story? What was the story? The stapler, they came back and they see that he ate the cup, but he didn't eat the food. Right? It's ein charami. If you're a tzaddik and you don't know what you're doing, then yes, ein charami.
I'm arguing this one.
Okay.
A regular person is not concentrating. No, you don't just like, oh, you didn't eat it. It's scary to go there, go eat a chocolate bar now. Like all that on camera, you eat the chocolate bar on camera.
I just did. I'm on camera and I'm eating a chocolate bar. What more do you want from me?
Inside they go more to be like, I'm scared that I ate a piece of barley. That's flesh.
Again.
It's fine.
Again, not me Suffolk. Again. Sugar.com, Chavra has already been taken. We will not be using it at the next fundraiser. Please think of another invention. Got org. That's not bad. Organization called Chuggle. That's weird. .edu maybe. So let's continue. The next case, and this is really what we were getting to, and with this we conclude.
What is the halacha? I mean, you just said that.
Well, about this, I can't answer.
No, I'm saying with the spoon. According to the basic halacha.
Oh, it's bullshit. Again. No. So again, what all I'm bringing out is you're only getting to a shayla at that bottom piece. Until that point, everyone agrees it's mutter. At that bottom part, that there's some lachluches of the spoon. So now the question would be, if you go, do you taste it? Lepashtis is we're going to be machmer on tam, even shaloi bekavana. Can I get the Ad Yehuda? That's the pashtis. We're going to be machmer like. Again, I'll tell you the. So I'll go very simple case. Good. I'll answer your question. I take my chicken soup spoon and I serve myself a plate of rice. I eat the whole plate of rice. Good. I was just painting to be careful that often you're not in the shayla. I consume the whole plate of rice. I finish the plate of rice. I'm like, that rice tasted interesting. And then you ask, and like, oh yeah, I use the same spoon. No one cares. No one cares. You know, the same guy who puts things in different compartments of your plate. You know, you have the sectional plate. You want things to touch. You care. What do you want? I don't want taste of chicken soup in my rice. So you tasted it. In that case, l'chayra one has to be machmer, even though the Yad Yehuda is going to be mekel, because there's no kavanah for that taste in there, and the Pislei Tshuva is going to be mekel. But Rav Akiva Eiger is going to be machmer, and the Beis Meir is going to be machmer, and the Beis Lachem Yudah is going to be machmer. In that case, you have to be machmer. Pashtus, it goes based at least on time. At least on time. That's the part. It's very hard to say, but once you have Rav Akiva Eiger, that's why in this case it might be worse, because you actually have mamashas, which is Rav Akiva Eiger and the Beis Meir in the other way of learning. You have Akiva Eiger, the Beis Meir, and the Beis Lachem Yudah. So that's going to be a problem. Now, but you know what? Let's just be honest. Let's say it's a big tzarech. Let's say you ate that rice. You know, you ate that rice, and then you go to your parents for a chveis, whatever it is, and they go, a birthday party, and they start serving milchiks. An hour later, you can be megal. Yad Yehuda's megal. Pislei Tshuva is megal.
They all bring down the shop word for word.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't. You have the shach. I mean, again, that's exactly what we're bringing to now. Meaning, in the world of lechatchila, if you have tam pashas, you have to be machmer. You know, the world of lechatchila, you tasted the meat, there was meat, finished. The shach says lo yotcha yafeh. The Hilchos Basar and the Shulchan, as you're all saying, just quote the shach, and the chayr, the pashas is das. Okay. Now, b'makim hatzayirech, what level of tzayirech? Okay, that's l'chayr for a she'elas rav. I'll tell you one mice after the French fries. That's the she'elas rav. But yeah, in that type of case, you go somewhere after an hour. Now you also start doing the math. You already have an hour, and we don't have that suda, and you have the Aruch HaShulchan and the Hilchos Basar and the shach. So there's a makati mekel. Hamzi, this is a very nice limud to learn. Sometimes people wonder, they call up with a shayla and they get these answers, and they're like, where in the world did the Rav come from? Like asking me, like, oh, what do you want? I'm going to a birthday. Oh, you're going to a birthday party? Whose birthday? Like, what's the Rav? Like, get out of my life. Like, what do you want? Like, it's your mother's, and she made food. Yeah, and she'd be very upset. You'd be very upset. Like, all of a sudden, like, they hang up the phone thinking, like, yeah, halacha is this, like, emotional, the Rav allows me to eat treif for, my mother. It sounds very odd. But if you know what's going on over here, and you learned the first half of the sugya that you know about the hour, you learned the oisa suda, suda achrita, taisvis, v'chulu, hour, v'chulu, and now you learn that it's a shach on the page with Aruch HaShulchan and the Chasadim, lo yotcha yafeh, the pashtus that it's not a bottle, and that it gives off tam, and now, may I be so bold to add, the chicken soup. Which part of the chicken soup went into the rice? Liquid. What's that liquid? Is that basar or is that tashel shel basar? We have no clue. No one in this room has any clue. No, we just don't know. We're about to get to the French fries. That's going to be the big problem. No one has any clue. But maybe there's another tzad that's only tafshel shel basar that's touching the... So, okay. Now we conclude with this as follows. We conclude with the French fries. French fries, I said one more case together with the French fries. Oh, the chugel. So the chugel is... This is not normal. Someone here is going to get very wealthy, and Eric Katzman, no.
You call it chugel? There's kugel and then there's the kugel.
What a family is inflation.
Family's off, or it's like
My in-laws, but I think my in-laws shul.
The shul.
It's not Baltimore. It's just
I'm going to tell my shul that we should start coining names of foods. So as follows. as follows. The chugel, which is a kugel that's made in the cholent, and it's made in the cholent inside foil. We've already spoken about the gefilte fish shiloh when we learned basar v'dagim. We spoke about that if someone by accident puts a loaf of gefilte fish inside their cholent instead of a loaf of kishka, and it's wrapped in foil, yesh makim ladan, yesh, one could ask and say, what's the problem? You don't cook fish and meat together, but there is a shell surrounding it. It's two different items. We know there's a transfer of tam, transfer of beliyos. Who cares? We saw the tshuva from Rav Didel Asher Kleiman that he quoted Rav Akiva Eger, I believe, who was makel on two different kelim, and then he said l'chayra, the gefilte fish should be the same thing, and then he said L'maiser Shmuel wanted to be machmir, and it's unclear why he wanted to be machmir. Would seem we don't have perfect explanation. This we said this is.
He said why. When didn't lie, as far as
He says because you taste it. Yeah, okay. Didn't, that's the what? So that was the question. But by the way, that line that you tasted in our sugya doesn't have a lot of relevance. In the sugya of basar v'dagim, who cares about taste? Like, well, what sheikhs? Let's leave your taste buds out of here. And it's a shaila. We know over there we don't care about bliyos and this and that, and finished. Lamaisa, even there he wanted to be machmir. When it comes to us, what are you going to do? So let's just talk about the French fries and. Again, what's the case? The case is you have a fleishik, a deep fryer that made schnitzel countless times. Now you make French fries in it, you have to wait 6 hours. This is a classical case. Most French fries bought in any establishment is not made in a designated fresh fry fryer. Sometimes it is. You could ask that question. Sometimes if they're baked, it for sure is. And if they're maybe pan fried, I don't even know if that exists, then it would just be a regular fleishik pan. But now, if it's made in the oil, so the question basically is, just to pull it out as a shayla, is how do you don the oil in a deep fryer? I have oil that I make schnitzel in, and I take out the schnitzel. What's the oil? So let's go back to our chicken soup case. We just mentioned that if I make chicken in a chicken soup, what's the broth? So one would say the broth is the tafshel shel basar. It's the dish of basar. Maybe one would say no. Maybe you would say if the meat is cooked in it and it goes in and out, what happens when you cook something in a liquid? The water and the oil goes in and out the whole time. And there's a reason why when you eat the chicken soup, it tastes like chicken. The reason is not because you sprinkle in the fake chicken soup mix. The reason is because the water is the shtick chicken. And this is what many paiskim they don't want to even discuss the shayla. And they say, get out. This is ridiculous. If you're talking, you're going to tell me if you drink a bit of the chicken soup, you're going to have a shayla if you have to wait 6 hours? You're eating chicken. So they want to say, if I put French fries in a deep fryer and the oil went into the schnitzel yesterday, today, who cares? So the oil's going into the French fry. I'm eating the oil went into the schnitzel. Cult of you're eating a shtick chicken and you wait 6 hours. That is what many would like to say. The question is if that's absolutely accurate, because for the same emotional response, we could ask that when you ate the shach's rice, you also tasted the meat, according to the Pislei Tshuva. And yet the Pislei Tshuva said you don't have to wait 6 hours. You taste the meat. It was lo yotcha yafeh, and it went into the rice, and you eat the rice. You're putting shuman. If that case of the Pislei Tshuva of putting shuman into the dish is not the quintessential case of our French fries, I don't know what is. Shuman is the fat alain, the fat itself, and you're putting it in b'kavana into the dish. And yet the Pislei Tshuva says you don't have to wait 6 hours. What's that called? That's called, I take my French fry, and I put it in the oil, and I put the oil in the fry. I don't have to wait 6 hours maybe, according to Pislei Tshuva. And maybe it's even better. Better. That sounds crazy. The case of the shuman, what are you doing? You're putting in the shuman to be in there. Am I? Let's just, yesh ladin in the world of the culinary experts amongst us. Do I want the oil? Well, I want the oil, right? I'm deep frying in it, right? The oil is not the shuman. The shuman is a chefsa of basar, chefsa of fat. I want the oil? Yes. I want the oil. I want the schnitzel oil. So this is where the world gets crazy. And let's discuss it. But I just want everyone to realize that there is what to don.
And who says there's even time?
We're going to get there. But the point is, anyone that doesn't want to don it is not donning the Pislei Tshuva, which in the world of the Maisa, one could say, Shkayach, Pislei Tshuva had a havamina, like Shuman, you put it in is fine. Then he quoted Beis Lachem Yehuda and he's chayzer, and then you have the Beis Meir, and you have Kiveger, and then Kotov. I understand. But in the words of the Pislei Tshuva, that I take the Shuman and I put it into the dish, this is that. So now, the question basically is is if I take 5 types, I have 5 deep fryers, and this is going to be our new science fair experiment, or my new carnival booth. You know, I have 5. One booth I have Pepsi and Coke. Another booth I have Sprite and Sierra Mist. Another, it's not Sierra Mist anymore. It's called what's it called?
I thought it was still Sierra Mist.
7-Up.
No, has a new name. No one knows.
Yes, he knows.
Yes, he knew. What's it called?
No? Not on speaker?
Yeah. Freezy or something. I don't know what it's called. Okay. I don't know. Fine. The next booth is Nativity. Oh, French fries. French fries. So you have 5 deep fryers. One of them is brand new oil. Again, they're all flashing deep fryers, but that doesn't bother us, which we already know. Good. One of them is brand new oil. One of them is old oil from French fries. Okay. One of them is old oil from schnitzel. One of them is old oil from onion rings. Onion rings, yes. 4 deep fryers, 4 deep fryers. What are we trying to say? Basically, the question is, when you take a fry from an establishment that uses used oil, so many want to suggest, why do they not clean out the oil? Not because it's very expensive to change the oil all the time, because it gives an extra geschmack taste. Is that true or is that not true? That's our question. Why do we care if that's true? Because again, according to even the Beis Lechem Yehuda, it's only in tam. If it had no tam, do I care that there was some meat in this? Because someone asked, what do you mean? Look at the bottom deep fryer, you have some bits floating there. What are those bits floating? So first of all, those bits are basar floating. What are they floating on the bottom? They're like crunchy garbage that are so burnt and whatever. I don't know if they have dinner of anything, but let's say they do. Okay. So some want to say that, so it's tali and tam. Yeah, it's bits of something that was chicken, and the chicken was cooked in here, right? Like the chicken soup, so it's giving off tam. So now, the question is, number one, if I just take plain French fries and new oil, will it taste the same? If you take those 4 batches of fries and you eat them and they taste the same to you, I don't think the shaila starts. The shaila certainly starts because there are those that are going to tell you it's not totally in tam, meaning, or you're no taster. But it's not totally in tam because maybe you're the base mayor of a kiveger, maybe the way that they're learning the shach, that the only case to be makels on blias. But once there's any level of be'en, you have to be machmir. And here there's certainly a level of be'en, because the same oil was used to make schnitzel. So certainly a shayla. But what we're trying to don is, do you have the purebred shach? Do you have the Beis Lechem Yehuda? So that's if there's no tam. Now let's say there is a difference in tam. So good. So we take the fries that are straight oil. Those taste different, and we put those on the side. Gavaldik. 1 second. There's a reason why we have 3 batches now. Because the question is it the used oil that's adding in the tam? Is it the used oil? Again, there are 5. There's brand new oil. There's French fry oil. There's schnitzel oil. And there's onion rings oil. 4. Okay. Yeah. Actual schnitzel is made in there. That's the real. I'm sorry. That was the 5th, and that's what I just didn't mention. Obviously, if it's cooked with schnitzel right now, then it's at the very least the tashel shel basar, right? The chicken broth is for sure something. You can't say it's nothing, and then for sure you would have to wait 6 hours. But now when you go to the other 3 cases, and one of them is onion rings, and one of them is schnitzel, and one of them is just used oil, question is, does it taste any different? So someone might say, yeah, the used oil, but the reason why I added in the onion rings is because maybe it's just the bits that create the gunkiness, that create the usedness, that creates the garbageness, that adds the flavor to the vegetarian. Who says it's the chicken shabai? Who says it's the chicken shabai? You take yana tofu that they're serving over here and you keep on frying there also. Maybe you would do the same thing. So maybe it's true as many Sfarim right. What do you mean? The used oil tastes differently. I'm asking. But who says it's the used oil of the chicken that tastes differently? Yes?
When we say tam, is it the taste chicken or is it the change?
So the problem is you don't know that's what we're trying to figure out. Because when you taste, you're saying even if you taste it, it shouldn't be a problem. Maybe. One would, one would argue and one would say that's called tasting the chicken. The fact that you knew there were chicken there and they taste like a used up, maybe not. Yeah.
Maybe it's not.
Yesh ladin. So with all that information, what's lamaisa? L'chayra, the lamaisa is similar to the rice that you actually taste the chicken soup. Lechatchila, I don't believe anyone is going to suggest that lechatchila, you can eat these fries that are made in used oil, that fried schnitzel, and you can lechatchila go have a cup of coffee or have dairy afterwards. Why is that not lechatchila? The shach, because you have Rav Akiva Eiger and you have the base mayor that are telling you once there's any level of ben, it's a problem. Now, is there tam? It's a shayla. I don't believe anyone on this world can answer this shayla. I just, I know a lot of overzealous people want to answer the shayla. I just don't think you could. I think there's a very reputable tzad. The same people that say, Coke and Pepsi is not a shayla. Everyone in the world can test it. Okay. And yet 50% of the world can't. So that means not everyone can test it. Okay. I know. Here we go. You always have one, of course. What's the shayla? They don't even know shaykhs. They're not even the same thing. I don't even say when people even, yeah. I said at the carnival booth and I just close down the carnival on that booth. Okay. So that's, that's the lechatchila. But now, what about b'diavad? So some want to make a little bit of a new level here, is that if there's mamish bits floating in it, which usually is not the case, meaning you go to a normal establishment, no, so if it's sometimes people have their own deep fryers. Yeah, you go, barge, just walking calmly. They invite you in. You go, look, most of these establishments, even if it's used oil, you're not going to have mamish bits. It's not like, no one has ever bought French fries. Yeah, they clean out with that guy. No one has ever bought French fries like, a chicken nugget. Like, it doesn't happen. Why not? Because they quote unquote clean it. They don't really clean it. They, skim it a shtickle. So if there is, and the reason why I say that is because if you have your own deep fryer in your own house and you don't change the oil, kedarka b'kodesh, then maybe you would actually have bits floating there because you don't really care to skim off the top. And then maybe that would be worse. Then maybe. Falafel, yeah, the same shayla. Yeah, same falafel, but because they make schnitzel and the same thing also. Yeah, falafel could be the same thing. L'chayra, there is a makkah to be makel though. L'chayra, even if you did taste some of the, maybe someone will say, no, l'chayra be makkah matzerach, there's a makkah to be makel. Now, what's a tzerach? This is, he won't want to be quoted, but he might have written Dirshu. So hopefully Chaver will be getting smicha from him, hopefully. But, I said, okay, shkayach sayach, tachlis. When can we make it? Myself, if there's Tom, and then you have the base mayor, and you have Rav Akiva Eiger, and you have, So I said, when can we make it? We pushed. I said, what if you eat supper? And you go out to night and what's it all going to boil back to? A cup of coffee, Avada. As every good child in Basar V'chalav does. So you ate night and on the mice you're very, very tired. You ate supper, and you're very tired, and you want a cup of coffee. Just for a cup of coffee. No, for a night seder, not for the cup of coffee. Then maybe after an hour, there's makas we make. I think we can understand it. I don't, after learning the sugya well, I think we all can realize.
And supper was this type of food you're saying?
You just ate the French fries. And I'm sorry, I didn't even add in that you have the Yad Yehuda over here. We didn't go into that angle. Yad Yehuda says Talin Kavana. When they're making the French fries in that oil, what? Even if there's time, exactly. That's what I wanted to end with. Even if there's time, it's Talin Kavana. When they make the French fries in that oil, they want it. So some people say, yeah, that's why they don't clean the oil. First of all, I'm not sure if that's true. Stam oil is very, very expensive. These deep fryers are massive. And maybe that's why they don't clean out the oil very, very simply. Maybe it has nothing to do with anything we're talking about, and maybe it's just straight up al-batishkeit, and maybe the more...
For the restaurant, the more often they change.
Right, so some will say, because they don't know, they know about tam, right? So why they change it to all? The answer is because it's maybe it's healthier. I don't know. That's l'chayra. L'chayra, you have the Yad Yehuda, according to many shitas. It's not being put in for. It's not l'chayra, not there for kavana. You have the Pislei Tshuva himself. You have the and you might even have the Beis Lachem Yehuda, Yesh Ladin if it's Tam, Yesh Ladin Tuva, and you have all quote the Shach straight. That now, of course, you have the big shayla that maybe it's a chicken soup, and and that's why the l'chayr it's only b'makom atzayrach is there a makom to be mekel, and I think that concludes pay test. Anything we missed?